So he grabs a hold. As he pulls in, I shift and strike. Now, I'm going to take my right leg, step off the line. I'm going to let my left arm dive down on top of his forearm. And I'm going to use this also as a leverage point hitting. So this should help take his arms off of me as well. So I'm going to step outside the guard here. Okay, one more time. This hits slowly. As I step, boom. Now, I'm not using my arm muscles here as much as I am. I'm attaching my arms to my torso, using my torso's transition from neutral to forward to affect his arms and crank them off of me here. There's my vertical block, using that as a leverage point. I go from point of origin here, going right up into the eyes and poking. I grab a hold, shifting back from my forward bow to my neutral, taking out the ribs. Boom. Okay, and then from here I just cross out on guard. Let's try that from the beginning. So he grabs a hold, he pulls me in, boom, catch it. Step off the line, this dives down, hitting and affecting this arm. This goes in, hitting and affecting that arm. Simultaneously with the step, we have boom. From here, notice how much I dropped my weight. I shift into my forward bow, catching the eyes. Grab a hold and punch back. Okay? One more time, a little faster for you. He grabs, boom, shift, forward bow strike, and back into the ribs. Cross out, step back on guard. And that would be a breakdown of destructive twins, which you'll find in short form 3 and long form 3. So we'll go from this position here. So as he pulls, I step to the 45 and I give him a little resistance because I want him to go ahead and pull back. Notice how my hands have grabbed back as well. As he pulls and shifts me around, I slip the elbow up and then I take his arm down, crossing him, creating a little bit of an obstacle. From that position, my arm comes up, drops back down to the spine. I then take my 2 kidney shots and base for the knee strike. Cross out, step back, on guard. Let's give him a different angle. He grabs, I react, release the elbow, yank the arm down to the side. Downward elbow, double heel palms, groin shot, cross out, step back, on guard. Sure. So that's called crossed twig. Have fun exploring it. Okay. Direct grab. I grab back. I'm worried about that punch coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of this leg target here. I'm going to spread him out, canceling out the width. Simultaneously, I'm going to affect his width by taking my forearm and putting some pressure, like I do in snapping twig, on the outside of his arm. Again, helping me take that width away. Okay, cancel the width. So, all simultaneously, it comes out as a boom. From that shot there, I'm going to drop in, landing out of that kick with a downward elbow onto the radial nerve into the elbow joint, pulling him in directly into the rising elbow. Then I shift my weight back down, dropping that elbow, and then raking the face, cross out, on guard. Let's take a look at another angle. Conquering shield. He grabs. I grab back. I kick. The kick is the defense here, folks. As he comes in, I'm going to kick him immediately, trying to create some depth here and also cancel his width out. So we have this shot, downward elbow. I'm going to take that downward elbow and pull it over to the right so that immediately I kind of contour shape his reaction and catch it with the rising elbow up. I drop back down and then I let that tiger's rake flip out, hit the face, rake down, cross out, on guard. Okay? So that's conquering shield. Pretty cool technique. Work on that timing at the beginning, folks. Boom, drop. Okay? Have fun with it. Sure. So, hands are pulled back like so. I load up on my right. I stomp on the foot with my left. My heel of my palm hits, stopping the leg from rising right above the thigh there in the joint. Okay? So we load up and stomp, heel kick, and elbow. There's the wings of silk. Okay? So I'm able to slip the wing out of the grab. From here, we load, heel kick and stomp, circle, catch the arm, and break. Okay, let's do that one more time. Give them a couple different angles. Load, heel, elbow, break. One more different angle there. Load, stop, heel, elbow, break. One time full speed. You've got 1, 2, break. Okay, sure. That's Wings of Silk broken down for you. Practice it, mechanics are everything, and good luck. All right, so let's go ahead and plant you up front there so that they can kind of see this front arm coming in. So as the roundhouse comes in, I'm going up the circle with the left leg. The point of impact would have been right here. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking the body, the target, off the line by stepping up the circle. The right hand becomes the predominant defense. So that means that I'm using that right inward block more than I am the left downward block. That's more of an insurance policy. So as he's coming in, my right hits above the knee joint, and then the left protects it just in case this shin comes in. Okay? So taking it from there, we block, then push drag, hammer strike the groin. The hammer strike to the groin then morphs into an elbow strike, catching him as he reacts from the groin shot. Left leg ticks up the circle, the 3 o'clock with the elbow, cross out, and step back on guard. Okay? One more angle. Mr. Gade comes in, I block, hammer strike the groin, strike up to the face, cross out, on guard. Okay? Thank you, sir. So things to really be specific on while you're practicing this are the angles. Real nice and slow. Left leg steps up, 430 up the circle. Universal block morphs into a hammer strike to 1030. Then the 3 o'clock left leg, elbow strike, cross out, step back on guard. Okay, so practice those angles. Be very, very specific with them, and you'll get this technique, swinging pendulum. So Mr. Gabe and I are shaking hands. He decides to pull me in. I step down and away, being aware of that other arm. So as I step off the line, I utilize that pull, shifting it into his own groin. From that position, I take his leg, and without straddling the paddle and pulling it up into my groin, I go ahead and hinge step out of this with my right leg, pulling his leg open here. From that position, I will then take my right leg, shuffle up and knee spike his leg there, and then I take a hopping knee strike into the coccyx. Boom. From that position, like I said, I find where a target that's showing, where I can hit it, maybe stomp on the back of the Achilles there for his leg break, cross out, step back on guard. And if his knee was showing there, I would by all means take out the knee with a side kick. That's up to you at the end of your technique, depending on the reaction of the uke. Let's go ahead and show him for the same. So he's shaking my hand, he decides to pull me aggressively. I go with it, shoot, pull, knee spike, drive. Oh, bam, I crash the knee. I take the ankle out, cross out, step back on guard. Okay? Pretty vulnerable position that your opponent's in. Sir, thank you. And that's called gift and return. Good luck. On Mr. Gade. Rear choke, right? Not a lot of stability here. He has control. I take control by stepping into my stance, nice and low, and grabbing a hold, tucking my chin, pulling forward, and notice the 2 thumbs here, what I'm trying to affect. I pull forward, snapping the thumbs, and then creating that opening by twisting the wrists upward, okay? My right leg steps back, nice and tight, and then here's the cross, okay, cross of destruction. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fold the right arm of my opponent over, creating a fulcrum. Okay, that's a leverage point. I kick the inside of the knee, and as he spreads, I land and pull my left hand back and push my right hand forward, snapping the elbow joint there. Okay, cross out, step back, on guard. Okay, so that's a pretty simple breakdown. I don't think I need to do that again. It's pretty easy. Different angles really won't matter. So take a look at it. It's called cross of destruction, and good little technique. So have fun. Cheers. Pretty simple technique. He grabs a hold. I feel the opponent's grab and the push, so I step back with it. As I step back, I grab, making sure I anchor the elbow, taking my right arm, doing an upward blocking motion to hyperextend and bring him up on his toes. From this position, my left leg will travel up the circle, and I'll take a nice solid strike to the chest or solar plexus of my opponent on meridians. My right hand will continue in orbit, creating a hammer, and then I will release this hip tension here as I settle into my stance, knocking the arms off. From this position, I rebound right off my body, back into the throat with a chop, cross out, step back on guard. Let's give him one more angle, sir. Twin kimono. He grabs, go up, strike back, unwind, chop, cross out, step back on guard. That's twin kimono. Okay, so the attack comes in. I slap the hands down. Notice how I don't want to go this way. Boom, they come right back at me. That's what I was talking about at the beginning of this little session. So I want to put some weight down into them. I want the left leg, when it becomes weight bearing and all that weight gets slammed on it, I want it to propel power into the right leg's front kick. So as he comes in, wham! From that position there, this continues in motion, and as that right leg lands, I hammer across the face, come up with the elbow. You can drop that elbow back down as you rake out, cross out, step back, on guard. One more angle for him, Mr. Gabe. As he comes in, I shoot hit, very quick. Hammer across the face, elbow up, tiger's rake down, cross out, on guard. Caught you with a little sequential opportunity here. So that is hooking wings. He steps through, my left foot steps off the line, and I throw my inward block. From this position, I shift in from my neutral bow to my forward bow, striking with the ridge to the side of the neck. All right. From this position, I'm going to grab, fingers facing up with my right, fingers facing the side with my left. I'm going to grab just like I did in the Heavenly Ascent technique, if those of you who are familiar with it. I'm going to grab and hug and take my chin and really tuck it close. The more space I have, as you can see, the more space he has to react negatively against me. So from this position, I hug and take my right leg and affect his base by spraying out. Okay, then I'm going to open up with my left leg, hanging him. This is where the sleeper comes from. Okay, he has about 8 to 10 seconds. I let him go. From this position, punch, cross out, step back, on guard. Let's take a look at that, this one from a different angle. Sleeper, he comes in, I block, I strike with the ridge. Notice how I let that left continue checking. I grab and hug, I affect his base, I then open up the door to let him down. From here, I knee check as he falls right into the ribs, into a closed kneel stance. I shift and punch, cross out, and step back on guard. Sure. Thank you. And that's called sleeper. Let's go ahead and take a look at this on Sensei. Spiraling twig. So he grabs a hold. I first attempt my first lesson of crashing wings. It's not working. I take my two middle knuckle strikes and I start to dig in to those metacarpals. He flinches. I see the fingers. I take the fingers. First lesson, finger breaks. Okay. From this, I go to my second lesson. I continue anchoring my left elbow around this arm. I take my thumbs, face them up on top of Mr. Gabe's metacarpals, and I pull tight on that arm, straightening it out. Now, my elbow joint is slightly above his elbow joint, so I'm going to flap that wing down, anchoring the elbow, stepping to my 45-degree angle. I want to pull him down with me. You hear that little step that his right leg just made. That's a good thing. Now my right leg steps back as I continue nice and tight, noticing how I'm keeping my elbows tight against my body, anchored. I have him in that wrist lock now. So wrist, elbow, shoulder. I then deliver the front kick, I slap the arm down, and I deliver my rising sun punch to the temple, jaw, or whatever given target there. Making sure that I hit with the two knuckles and obviously not the top of my hand. Not good for me. Boom, cross out, and step back on guard. Okay? We'll give him one more angle on this one. So I step, attempt to break, knock, knock, who's there? There are the fingers. Break them, shift, pull, got myself in a position for the wrist lock. I utilize that joint lock, make him take that first step, step around, now I have him in the wrist lock. I pull his wrist and my arms to my right side, pulling him into the kick. As I land, box out, and strike with the rising knuckle punch. Okay, box out, step back on there. Sir. Spiraling twig. Fight to freedom. He begins the attack, I step in, and locked wing goes back. He blocks it. I step off the line. Notice that I've already grabbed his arm back. I throw the kick to the groin or the stomach. I land and I shift into a forward bow, wrenching his arm around, exposing the elbow, striking. Now I thread the left front kick to the inside of his knee. I break, cross out, step back, unguard. Okay, so one more time from a different angle. We'll open it up for him. He pulls. I go for my first attempt. It doesn't work. Step off the line. Kick. Land and break. Kick. Break again. Cross out. Step back. Sure. That's called fight to freedom. So he grabs me. I step back and pull the hands to my side as I kick the groin. From there, I land, and I can do a little bit of a chicken-style kick here with the landing and pop the face back. Land forward, I shift, and take advantage of that shot with the two ribs. Cross out, step back, on guard. Let's take a look from the other side. He grabs, I pull, kick, land, kick, two shots to the ribs. Cross out, on guard. Okay? There you go, that's begging hands. So, since they gave punches in, I block, shuffle forward, elbow. Notice that I go ahead and knee check there as well. From here, there's my eye slice if it's available for me. I hit the back, chop, chop, check, wide kneel stance strike. Cross out, step back, on guard. Okay, let's try it on the other side. He comes in, block, elbow, chop, chop, check, strike. Now this strike here, a couple variations. We can use a ridge to the throat, which I really like. It comes a little more natural from here, bam, or the traditional chop to the throat, or just a heel palm. Cross out, step back, on guard. Cool little technique, thank you, sir. Flashing wings. Look at this one on Sensei Game. You'll have a much clearer idea of how it works. Thank you, sir. So, first attempt was this. And if you get that one perfect, you tear him up, you go into your scraping hoof. But I attempted this and it's too late. His arms are already traveling up, so I can't do it. I go ahead and track up and find his eyes, fabric softening, right? From here, I go back into scraping hoof, popping the head back, grabbing the wrist, stepping off the line, and then hitting my forward bow as I pull on this arm, shifting my weight into the elbow strike. From here, I just switch, left foot comes in a little bit, grab a hold of the other arm as I step off and forward bow strike. Cross out, step back, on guard. Now, when you're exploring this in a more practical intent behind as far as his intent goes in the attack, you're not going to hit all those forward bows as much. You just want to practice it in its ideal phase just to get comfortable with it. But in all reality, the switches also can change up a little bit. So as he comes in, if I'm really fighting him, pop here, I don't want to go back into his guard. So I might just step right off and catch him with that second elbow. Cross out, step back, on guard. So it's just another variation as you're getting more comfortable with it, maybe using it in a technique line. Don't be afraid to scribble a little bit and obviously try out some of those what-if scenarios. All right, it's a cool little technique. So that's repeated devastation. Thanks, sir. So, figure four lock. He comes in, and this is not just a lock that they're holding to cause pain. This is a lock that's usually an attempt, as you can see, he's slipping down for a takedown. He's slipping his leg behind my right leg. So I need to stop that action. If I come in and he doesn't stop this shoulder from rotating and this elbow from rotating into him, he's going to be taken down. But if he was to take his left palm and stop that action, which is exactly what this technique teaches us, that gives him a chance to defend himself against this potential takedown. So, going back to the technique, he comes in, I check, very important, and I step in and slip the elbow all at once. From that elbow slip, this is the arm that's now becoming entangled. My opponent's left arm will snake through as I rotate and shift my body towards 6 o'clock. So from this position, I'm going to hyperextend the elbow up just by anchoring and grabbing a hold of the wrist there. I'm going to slip my elbow to the kidney, left elbow, taking my left arm, checking their arm as I rotate back to my horse stance, hitting the chest with a solar flex shot, right elbow, cross out, step back, on guard. Let's take a look at this from another angle. As he puts me into the lock, I shift in, immediately attacking the attack, slipping the elbow up, catching their arm, pivoting, and hyperextending. From this position, smack the elbow to the floating ribs kidney, and then bam, hit him with the other elbow in the ribs. Cross out, step back, on guard. So that's entangled wing. Take a look at it. It's much easier on a human being, so we'll definitely review this in your private lesson. Cheers. So as he swings, I attack, he attacks. You see how that elbow hits his chest plate there. Now from there, I have an opportunity. I also have a knee check in there, okay? I have an opportunity to throw a fabric softener if I have time or if I'm willing to do so. I hit that mask blade process. I can grab the back of the elbow joint, which a lot of people feel sometimes, especially if the aggressor is bigger than you, they have a little more leverage, or original way that I was taught, up in the shoulder blade. Okay, you could try both. Right leg steps back to the 45-degree angle. Again, let's say around 7:30, and I crank that arm up and I push him down here. And I really want to make sure this arm is nice and high, creating a discomfort in his shoulder, wrenching his shoulder. I'm going to launch my right knee into the chest as I land forward, downward into the elbow strike to the spine, and then I disarm, step back, on guard. Okay, let's give that a try. Other side. As Sensei gave swings, I block, grab, step back, knee, elbow, grab, take it out, step back, on guard. Okay. That right leg, when it steps up the circle, it's basically like hitting a little mini trampoline. It immediately launches directly into the chest, and as I land with marriage of gravity, a little rotational force there as I crank down and settle into that elbow. Okay, so I have fun with it. That's called defying the storm. Thank you, sir. So he grabs a hold of me. I go with it, and I strike him, knocking the wind out of him. Now, what is this left hand doing other than grabbing? It's checking, okay? I'm being sure I'm cross-checking because if he comes in, he gets it. I can shoot, bam. Now, from that shot, I throw the hammer strike. I collapse onto the elbows with the hammer, boom, bouncing off into the chop. And then right from there, I push drag forward. I do not need to hit and rewind and strike. This is part of the lesson. It's called a collapsing elbow. Boom, I shoot all my body weight into that final strike, cross out, on guard. Nice little practical technique. Let's try this on the other side. He grabs, I pull, boom, I shoot that. Again, cross check here, hammer strike, collapse onto the elbows, chop the neck, elbow strike, cross out, step back, on guard. All right, it's a fast technique, full speed. It's here, pop, boom, cross out, step back, on guard. All right, sir, raking this. He comes in for a double push, I step in, poke the eyes. From this position from the forward bow, I shift into my neutral bow, catching along his right shoulder, pulling him down, canceling a little bit of his height, meeting that downward energy with some upward energy in my elbow strike. From that elbow strike, I drop it back down, right in the face as I cross out, step back on guard. Okay, let's take a look. He comes in, wedge, elbow, drop back down, rake, cross out on there. Thank you, sir. Thrusting wedge. Sir. So as he comes in, here's the slip. Slowly. He comes in and I'm slipping, taking my body off the line, kind of bobbing and weaving my head there and slipping the punch with that right catch. Vertical punch. I immediately shift in place and strike him with that vertical punch to the floating ribs. So this really is the stopper. Think of jousting. So as he comes in, I strike with that punch. Okay, from here, I'm going to drop into the kidney, check the arm, tiger's rake the face. Now from this position, I'm going to draw that line. Notice my elbow's on the back side of his shoulder. I'm going to drop down into my wide kneel, dropping that chop to the back of his knee, and then kick the other knee out, cross out, step back on guard. Let's give that a try from another angle. As he comes in, I slip and punch. From this position, hammer strike, check, tiger's claw, anchor the elbow, drop right down, boom, right to the back of the knee. From this low position, kick the other knee out, cross out, step back. Okay, sir? That's called shield and mace.